infinite ammo.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another IAS special podcast. We're doing a podcast on martial arts movies and action film and doing a full discussion and breakdown on all our favorites, all the Jackie Chan's and Donnie Yen's, Bruce Lee's, and all the fun John Wick, Matrix, and other action things you've seen in history. So I am the host, Renegade Operative, and I'd like to introduce my panel. First, we have Mr. Andre.
Yo, it's good to see you all again for another podcast. It's gonna be a fun one talking about our favorite martial arts movies from over the years.
Next, we have Cryo Gaming.
Hello, I cannot wait to talk about martial arts film, our favorite stuntman for martial arts, and you know, like I always say, still no kung fu.
Next up is Mr. Drillbit.
Oh, hey everyone, really excited for this one.
Next up is Nero.
Oh, hey everybody. Yeah, Kung Fu's gonna be fun.
Eli, introduce yourself, good sir.
Hello everyone, please stay away from Alec Baldwin.
Oh my.
Dang.
Well, let's get to Mr. Overlord Kucha.
Hey, looking forward to doing another hard-hitting podcast with you guys.
All right, so we're gonna jump right into this first question here. What is your stance on martial arts in film? Why do you love these movies so much in the first place? Who wants to go first? You know what? I guess I'll go first, and then Andre, you can go second. But
All right.
my answer is gonna be brief, so and very simple. I like watching people beat the shit out of each other. I think it's very entertaining. I think it is a cool pastime to watch people, you know, fight to the death for our amusement and pit their martial arts skills to the test and see the various styles and unique stuff that could come from it. Like before, I was watching all these fighting styles. It was unprecedented seeing all the moves and takedowns and holds. And it really just is a testament to all the men and women that do these type of like high velocity stunts, you know, jumping off buildings and fucking, you know, you see stuff like Jackie Chan where he decided to jump from one giant like building and then just fall all the way down to the side and what am I or who am I? And I think that's like very cool and entertaining. Is Death Defying, is Daredevil like stunts, but I pretty much enjoy stuff like that. So I keep it very simple there. So anyone else, Andre?
For me, I love martial arts movies just because of just how impressive like not only just the choreography but just the martial art itself. It's always really cool when you like. It's always really fascinating to me when you see someone that's very skilled in what they're doing and they show it off. And one of the cool things about martial arts is like you can definitely learn a lot of stuff from it, and like you know how like some action stars incorporate parkour, like I said, Jackie Chan, he's done in his movies, and it's definitely always cool. And the fights are always just so authentic and like just usually like brutal, and that's kind of thing I like. It's just like no, like sure they'll use weapons from time to time, but it's like just grounded, which it's stuff I usually appreciate. But yeah, that's my answer.
Anyone else want to go next?
Honestly,
Oh, but
well, honestly, I just like seeing people do cool stuff. And I've actually been digging into the history of martial arts and actually did like Muay Thai for like a couple days. It was pretty hard because my footwork was terrible, but watching like people who know how to do it is pretty cool.
I was gonna say, like, on my end, I think it's a very unique kind of an action movie. Like, you've got plenty kinds of action, but with a martial arts movie, it's kind of right in the title. It's an art form. Same as with a movie, they blend very well together between the choreography and you can get away with doing a lot in a movie that, say, for instance, you're not going to be able to get in just a sparring match. There's things in films that you can do that they wouldn't make any sense and there wouldn't be any point in doing them in an actual fight, but you can kind of zhuzh it up a bit for the audience. And then on top of that, I mean, in order to do half of the martial arts maneuvers and styles, it requires enough dedication to almost be machine like in how well you can like operate your own body, and it's just really great to see. It's super impressive in my opinion.
Anyone else? Going once, going
Uh,
twice.
Mhm.
uh, I mean, that's honestly a good question. I mean, for me, with martial arts, the choreography has always been one of my favorite things. It's also the most passionate of, you know, almost any kind of genre that you think of, where it involves like fight choreography, uh, anything like that, and just how like creative like a choreographer can be, like people like Jackie Chan, for example, using a jacket. When someone grabs hold of their jacket, they just whip themselves out of it and they just wrap the opponent's arm with the jacket. I always thought that was one of my favorite kind of like moves because it's like, oh, you think that's my weakness? No, that was actually my strength. Thank you so much. I always like that. And like uh like someone mentioned before, like it's legit a form of art. It's very artistic if you really pay attention to key details in it. Very artistic.
What about Mr. Eli? Any thoughts on why you like these movies?
Well, to avoid parroting what everyone else has said, one thing I do like about martial arts movies is, just the representation of Asian people in movies. And as the server's resident Asian, uh, I enjoyed seeing bits of my culture in in martial art movies and action movies as a whole.
Yeah, like just it's a very like Asian sort of oriented influence, and just seeing like any type of like fighting style, like we've branched out into boxing action movies. We saw a various amount of fighting styles in movies like Undisputed 2, where it's like not only boxing but karate, Muay Thai, kickboxing. So it's all over the place, and I like how everything has diversified itself into seeing all these fighting styles at work and how they compare and contrast and correlate to each other.
Sounds good.
Drew?
Even The Raid.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
can we talk about that movie?
Oh
for-
yeah,
that's
Well,
that's one of my favorites. I'm pretty sure we're getting there though. We're getting there.
Yeah, honestly, everyone kind of put in my thoughts, like, like especially Renegade. Like people just want to see people getting beat up, And sadly, I don't think there's any Mexican martial art films. There's no Mexican judo,
You'd
as
be
in
surprised, actually.
Maybe it exists. Like the
I
from
mean,
good.
I was
was gonna
gonna-
say,
Sorry about that, drill. Yeah.
that's cool. I was gonna say there should be Mexican judo, as in judo know who you're messing with, Holmes.
Oh my god, this man.
Well, you got Robert Rodriguez.
I guess that kind of counts.
Mhm.
I mean, those movies have
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah,
the Shelly
somewhat.
ain't really a martial arts film. Very
Yeah, but-
gory, but not really martial arts.
But I mean, like even his other movies as well, like his earlier works were more action based as well.
Yeah, true.
Mhm.
Anyways, what's the next question, Renegade?
Let's see here. Let me go back to the doc. So we have number 2. Who is your favorite martial arts actor of all time? This can be solely based on stunts, fighting style, and multiple appearances in media. Now, I'm sure everyone's going to have different answers. It's not just probably one actor of martial arts that we like. So I would say top 3 to make it a little bit more easier on people.
Yeah.
I guess
Oof.
if I go first, I'm gonna say Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li. Very easy and simple for me because they've all done cool and unique things in martial arts for various reasons. Like Bruce Lee himself, legend, 100%. You've seen all his movies before. I like just the fact that he's very stoic in fighting style, but he can just hit like a tank, like very hard, formless like water. Then you have Jackie Chan that likes to throw a lot of stuff at opponents and flip everywhere, and he's just fucking insane with the way he fights. And then there's Jet Li, where I was watching the one last night, and that movie is so crazy where he's fighting himself. I was like, how? At times, I'm thinking, like, how did he do that? And then you see him in Lethal Weapon 4, where he pulled the guy's pistol out and completely snapped it. So his fighting style is also, like, very just diverse and impressive, and seeing him fight is always a pleasure. So I like those 3. It's probably more,
Growing
but I'm going to let you guys cover the rest.
Yeah.
I was
Growing
gonna.
up,
Yeah.
I'll let you guys
go
go
first real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
For me, I think the first bit of martial arts movies I ever watched was The One. So, for obvious reasons, I got to put Jet Li on the top of my list. Donnie Yen. That IP Man has to be one of the best martial arts movies I've ever seen. Did you also guys see him in Rogue One?
Yes. he
I've
was in
seen
Rogue
Rogue.
One.
I've seen Rogue One, but I forget the character he was.
He was some blind guy,
Yeah, that's what his character was.
a blind fighter. Yeah.
I think his character's name was Charity or something like
Mhm.
that. Yeah, that's his character's name.
Funny thing is that I think like Star Wars has an actual martial arts style, but it's in one of the worst games ever made.
Probably.
Master. It's called Star Wars Master of Tiras Kasai.
And also Jackie Chan as well. He's number 3 on my list. I think I've seen the least of his movies out of those guys. Out of Jet Li and Donnie Yen.
And is that your like full list?
Yeah.
All right, so Drill, you were trying to say something, so I'm gonna let you go next.
Top 3.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. I guess it might be a bit of a hot take, but I would say Jean-Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris, and probably Bruce Lee.
That's not bad. No, that's like I understand people liking Jean-Claude Van Damme. He has a very interesting form of like I don't know what his style is in terms of karate, but I always found his movies entertaining. Like Bloodsport and what is it? Time Cop, Street Fighter 1. I forgot he was like fucking Guile in that movie. Yeah.
He's karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and Taekwondo.
Okay, so
That's the villain in Expendables 2.
yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was
Oh yeah, he was. I
Gene-
forgot that was him.
Gene Villain.
Yeah, he was in that
Also,
movie.
Kickboxer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, can you really say more about Chuck Norris? He's been in a ton of movies, hasn't he? And all the memes about him.
Expendables 2.
Yep, where he just blew up a tank.
Mm-hmm. And that's you refused to elaborate and just walked away.
Hold on, I have a side question. It's like every old star in these expendable movies, because I haven't seen any of them at all.
Yes,
Yeah, pretty much every
Stallone.
old classic 80s, 90s.
pretty much all the
action
ones
star.
that are still living.
Like Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Dolph Lundgren, like all those dudes, man, they're in there.
They even
Also,
had
you have
Lee,
Terry
yeah.
Crews.
Yeah, oh yeah, Terry
Crews.
Crews, he's in there. Yep.
Yeah.
He's
Statham's in there. Fucking Wesley Snipes is in there.
Eric Roberts, funny enough.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Roberts.
Antonio Banderas is
Really?
the best. He's
He
in the,
was
like,
in
the
the third
best
one.
character. He's in the third one.
And he's gonna be in the fourth one.
They even had Wesley Snipes in the third one too.
Also good. I didn't even know there was going to be a fourth one.
Yeah, they just announced that a while back.
Yeah, that was announced. I think several years ago after the third one came out. I think.
Mhm.
I still remember the Expendables too because mostly because of that scene, that shooting making a tank explode, but he only has an assault rifle.
Yeah,
And I think Sylvester Stallone asked him, he's like, I heard you got bit by a king cobra. And Chuck Norris is like, I did. And after 3 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died.
yeah, he's pretty much like embracing the meme.
Oh god.
I
Yeah.
mean, he's Chuck Norris after
but-
all. Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, like it's really hard to like pick like top like martial artists, but I like Jackie. I like Jackie so much because I grew up with the guy. So then Van Damme, people sleep on that guy nowadays.
Yeah, they aren't watching his older stuff. That's why.
Mhm.
And I mean, I guess after that, I would also say, I guess Jet Li, but with Van Damme, he's tied for, Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee is like one of the best out
Oh,
there, and I mean Jet Li, he's still kicking ass
Mhm.
despite his age. He's still kicking
Actually,
ass.
what Ren said in chat, real quick, but Scott Atkins, dude, Scott Atkins is a beast. Like he is just, it's really crazy because I know he's like a fight coordinator, but he's just like that dude is just a freaking monster of nature. Like he's just, man, like watch his movies, and I know he fought like Donnie Yen and Ip Man in one of the Ip Man movies. Like that, I think it was the fourth movie.
Yeah.
For me, well, obviously Bruce and Jackie and Jet Li, and I think recently also Donnie Yen. Like I said, I saw the first Ip Man. I absolutely loved it. I think Donnie Yen's just amazing. Like I know it's cheating because I have like 4 actors, but come on, man. And
You can say he's just an honorable mention. Like that. That'll work.
yeah.
I think he was also in Predator.
I
And Predators.
I think so. Yeah, he was in that movie. Yeah, Diane was in there. Trying to find.
But yeah, if I had honorable mentions, I definitely would say Scott Atkins, because fun fact, he was trying to audition for being Batman, but he got turned down, and I think it didn't go anywhere, and ultimately they picked Robert Pattinson, which is fine because I liked Robert Pattinson as Batman in that movie. Also Michael Jai White, he was not only in Undisputed, but also a lot of like those kung fu action scenes that had him in it, and he really takes his stunt work and choreography seriously.
Also, I'm gonna quickly add something to mine as honorable mention. Wesley Snipes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Blade.
Snipes is great.
Blade
Snipes is
one?
really good.
I loved him in Demolition Man because fun fact, because it's still like on topic or anything, everything like that, or the good stuff. But in Demolition Man, I believe his stipulation for being in it, he told Sylvester Stallone and WB, he's like, I want to do my own stunts. I want to be able to, you know, do my own stuff. Let me do my martial art stuff in this movie, and just me, without any stuntmen. Let me do it. And it's Sylvester Stallone, of course. He was like, I've seen you work before. I like your moves. Go ahead. And that's how we got Demolition Man, and I loved the moves in that movie.
Yeah, any actor that can actually do their own stunts, even if it's not all of them, just a few, that's really
It's
admirable because you
honorable,
could hand
yeah.
that off in the second and be like, I don't get paid to do stunts. Give it to give it to somebody else. But if they're willing to do even one or two of them, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like people that can do their own stunts with martial arts or practically anything in general, like I hold that person to like the highest regard, especially if they're adamant. And even though like a stunt is like dangerous or something like that, they're like, "Come on, let me do it. I'm pumped. Let me do it." I'm like, you know what? You got my respect.
Yeah, those people that are willing to get hit or take a bump, as in, one of these days you might be flying through a plate glass window. Like I can respect that because it's very clear and obvious, and I think we'll get to it in the later question where they use stuntmen and how the fight choreography goes, and where they're trying to like hide their face because clearly it's not the person that's being thrown through a plate glass window, as that actor is someone else. That's why I respect people who can take a hit, quote unquote.
Oh, and speaking of not even taking just one hit, they don't always get it in one take. You can see in a lot of movies if there's a stuntman who has to take a hit, sometimes they'll like kind of guard where that's gonna be a little bit, and it may toss like a little bit of the movie off a bit, but it's because they've gotten kicked in the chest like 12 times today, and they're not really keen to get kicked again. Like it's pretty grueling.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah, the work
Yeah.
of
I mean, even US side, it's
Hmm?
grueling. That's not even talking about. And like, I know some other, I think it's like the Hong Kong filming scene. A lot of them just get fucking decked because they want their movie to look good.
Yeah, the work of the stuntmen who can take the hit, as I reiterate this, that's also cool, as well as the person who is like, you know what, I'm the actor of this movie, I'm going to step up to the plate and also get hit as well, or try to do a couple of stunts. I think that I know it's off topic, but Charlie Cox talked about this with Daredevil, saying that he wanted to get in on the action. That's why it's not like a lot of big cutaways at times when he's fighting, because he's really actually trying to learn and get in there and make it as real as possible. I appreciate
Yeah, like
people who do that.
Yeah, like the hallway scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Even though that was like a little bit of trickery with like multiple men going back and forth, but they really did that like super well. I appreciated that a lot.
I believe it took like 2 days to do that scene. It was an old boy, yeah.
But going back to favorite martial arts actors or honorable mentions, anyone else want to go on this before we move on?
Sure. I know everybody else has said Jackie Chan, but I've never seen a Jackie Chan movie I don't enjoy. He brings his own he brings his own kind of energy to it, and I love that he kind of specializes in sort of almost like a comedic slapstick kind of martial arts, but it's still incredibly impressive. And then my other two, they share a movie together that I absolutely love, and that's Robin Shu and Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa were both in Mortal Kombat, and I love watching them do stuff in any movie.
That
But yeah,
is
those would easily be my three.
that is a good pick. I did not even think of the guy from Mortal Kombat that was Shang Tsung.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean
yeah.
he's so Shang Tsung they made him Shang Tsung in MK11.
Yep.
Yeah, they brought
Pretty
him
much,
back,
yeah.
and he was like the big bad. That was awesome, though. That was like really cool fan service.
I think he's also Heihachi in one of the Tekken movies
Yeah,
too.
he's Hachi. Yeah. Yeah, don't remind me. Actually, shoot. I'll say this about the Tekken movies. They did have really good choreography in the fight scenes. Like, the fight scenes were really well done, but that's about it. Those movies are no bueno.
He looks like marshmallow jizz. I'm sorry. He looks so terrible as Heihachi, but you know what? It's whatever. It's just them
Yeah.
putting on.
I mean, I don't think him looking good as Heihachi would have saved the movie.
No, but I mean,
Look,
like,
Heihachi's built to be a video game character. He's not meant to look real.
yeah, it's like the fight scenes are decent from that movie. It's just everything else. If you're expecting lore accuracy, is no. But we're gonna move on from that. Anyone else have any favorite martial arts actors they want to put on the list?
I would like to say Tony Jaa from The Protector.
Okay, Jaws is a really
Van
good one.
Damme and Jet Li.
And who's
Tony
your last one?
Jaa.
Tony Jaa,
Tony
Jet
Jaa.
Li, and who else?
I said Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's fair. Like, I haven't watched like a lot of Van Damme movies or Tony Jaa. I just know him from Protector and Ong Bak. That Thailand sort of where Muay Thai was basically getting like super popular because of that.
Yeah.
I like how no one mentioned Steven Seagal.
Steven who? Who's Steven Seagal?
Oh, okay.
Well,
I have a question. Honest opinions on Seagal, because I watched a video not too long ago where people were like, he's basically a fraud or something like that. Like, what is the context behind all this?
I'm gonna be real. I know nothing about his work other than when he was in Expendables, I think.
I don't. Was he?
No, he was in Machete.
Oh yeah, he was in Machete. Okay.
Yeah, he was in
Machete.
that movie. Yep.
Basically, people call him a fraud because his form of martial arts is not the traditional martial arts.
Yeah, he
His
practiced Aikido.
yeah, which is basically more so of disarming kind of kung fu, not quote unquote real, martial arts or kung fu.
Yeah.
Even though technically it's still part of martial arts technique and lesson, it's just that some people out there that gatekeep martial arts, they say that he's not really a martial artist because his form is mainly for like defense against like weapons, things like that.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually hurt the person, because unlike many other like martial arts techniques out there, it doesn't cause the other person harm.
The most you do with Aikido is like, I think the most you do is like sort of hurt their arm, like I know there's some techniques where they bend their arm back, not to like break it, but you get the idea. So they like what was it? What's the word I'm looking for? Like disable them. Yeah, disable them.
Disarming.
Disarm them, yeah. I was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, disarming, because like what Krause said, it's more defensive heavy.
It's like
they're
throws.
I think even at its most bare bones, you're still kind of describing a martial art, even if it's not like, I don't know, traditionally considered as such. It still does sound like it is a physical, ergo martial technique with an art to it. It still sounds like it. It may not be popular, but whatever.
It looks cool. Like it looks like
Yeah.
throws and disarming. And Eli, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm gonna let you go in a bit.
Sure.
But it looks like disarming and throws, and I think just the main brunt of the Seagal criticism is basically him making a lot of statements saying, I beat the shit out of this martial art instructor, or I beat the shit out of that martial art instructor. And when they decided to make a response saying, what, that happened? Well, Seagal, you know what? You can show up here and show us your skills, and him sort of ducking out on that. Maybe some of that game of telephone got him into hot water. But overall, I think that he's cool for the most part. For the classic movies, he did his job showing how cool that style was on film, but maybe he definitely like stole a lot of things and took a lot of credit and pissed some people off saying he was going to fight them and he didn't beat them up at all. Stuff like that. That's probably what got him in the hot water. And I remember at one point he just sort of blew up. Like he not only got like big, like don't say this is fat shaming, but it's true. Like he got fat, and then
Well, yeah, he got lazier with his movies and he got fat.
yeah, he started playing in these bargain bin kung fu movies.
He was
Just-
drinking a lot too. Like I know he was like drinking a lot. Like if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I only brought up Steven Seagal because I know that he is a martial artist, but recently people just shit on him constantly.
Well, yeah. And apparently the dude lives in Russia now or something like that.
I
Ouch.
think people just like shit on him because he had like an egotistical spree for no
Yeah,
apparent reason.
He was
Yeah.
big in his heyday, but over the years his popularity just fades so much that to the point where he's like pretty much like a meme.
Yeah, and then there's the funny story with like Rob Schneider telling how much he was a douche on set.
ooh,
Oh yeah, I heard he was an asshole. Like I heard he was kind of like
And then there was
He's
this
prima donna.
infamous, and then there was also his infamous Saturday Night Live appearance, which you can still find some of it on YouTube. Yeah,
Jeez, what happened specifically?
it was just extremely awkward, and it wasn't that funny.
Okay. Wow. It happens.
yeah. It's. I mean, it's unfortunate because I believe if he had just a bit more humbleness and quality control, he would have got somewhere. But you know, when you do this and you get bloated and you look like you're barely moving on screen and you start shit talking other martial artists and you're not really legitimately about it, then that's gonna put you into hot water. But I mean,
Not
the
good
style
enough.
was cool. Yeah, the style was cool for what it was back in his really good movies, but now it's like they're few and far between. So, any other opinions on Seagal before we just move on?
I think we said what we need to be said about Mr. Fraud Gall.
Oh
Yeah.
man. So I guess we can move on to the next question. Let's see. This is question number 3, which is also going to be hard. What is your favorite fight scenes in martial arts cinema? It can be multiple choice. Just describe why. So, who wants to go first?
A favorite fight scene? I mean, is it fair to just say all of Drunken Master?
Sure.
Because that whole movie is so good. I am an absolute sucker for drunken boxing. I could watch that any day of the week, even though it may not be that practical. In an actual scrap, it's easily like it's the eye candy of martial arts for me. I'll watch that in like any movie. I'll play that character in like any fighting game. But it's so I'd probably say there's one scene in the first movie. I want to say it's the first movie, but because of localizations, I could have been watching the second one, and we just called it the first one in America. But it's the purse snatching scene in Drunken Master, where it's just the street fight against like the 5 guys, and it's just Jackie Chan slowly getting more wasted as the fight goes on. There's a quote that I love that it goes, you know, what is what is this in this bottle? And they go, well, what does it mean when the label has a skull on it? And it basically just goes, oh, it means it's good stuff.
Damn.
Yeah,
this
that would be
is-
mine.
I think Chan really just made that movie because as he started to get more drunk, he started to get more powerful, and it just got fun and stupid as it went on. For me,
I was gonna say the end of that where he basically has to resort to drinking machine fuel.
Wait, what?
yes, he
The
does
the
that.
end of Dungeon
Bro.
Master, there's no booze, and he just has to drink like hard, like processed machine oil
Good
to
lord.
basically get the same effect. And there's like two endings. They're like, we made one ending, and one of them is like the character gets like brain damage from doing it, but then they're like, that's sad. Let's just make it to where he gets better, and then they just reshot it. And like, there we go, better ending.
Jackie's stomach must be like bottomless with all the stuff he can drink.
Oh, I'm
Lord.
sure it was just like, I'm sure it wasn't actually like. They have to have had another alternative. They're not like method act it, drink the gasoline.
I'll go real fast. This is a really basic answer because too many, but probably that one scene in the first Ip Man movie when the main character took on all those black belts, and the reason why I was like, there's a reason his friend, supposedly his friend, had to fight for his freedom, and he ended up disrespecting one of the, I want to say one of the head commanders, the Japanese commander. He didn't like that, so he took him to get tortured. Ip Man finds out about this, and instead of like just going crazy, he's in this like really pissed off mood, but at the same time he keeps his cool. And next thing you know, all these black belts come and challenge him, and he just washes all of them, like just beats the shit out of them. That was like one of the hypest fight scenes I've seen, and that's kind of one of the most like Ip Man's great. Like the last fight scene, Ip Man's awesome, but that scene where he just takes on all the black belts was just memorable because it's like one guy being pushed to his absolute limits with how much he has to struggle with against the times, because remember Ip Man takes place around I believe it takes place in the 1940s, so he literally just goes ham on all of his enemies. I just love that scene. But yeah.
Anyone else?
I would like to bring up old martial arts movie. It was all right. So the scene was basically there was some dude on like a small rowboat, and he was beating the shit out of these two dudes, and then the other dude had actually summoned like some duo with like bladed wheels and just jacked that dude's stuff up. He even got his leg cut off. Not in reality, but in the movie.
What's the name of the movie you mentioned?
The name of the movie, I'm trying to find it right now. I know
Okay.
it's in my history.
Just call it like Japanese GTA. Shit. I guess I'll go real quick while this is going on. So there's two scenes. There's one I am not too, I guess I'll make three. There's one I'm not too familiar with the name of the movie, but I know they made a kung fu movie with a guy who had no arms, and this dude was fighting. And I was like, dude, bro, what the fuck is going on? But I don't know the name, but if anyone just sort of remembers, then Nero found this movie. It's called Drunken Dragon. But for other fight scenes that are known for martial arts that I liked, I would say the scene with the knife fight at the end of the Raid 2. It's brutal. It's exhilarating. I think as soon as they pull the knives out and people just start to get stabbed, that's when the music starts to amp up and go faster and faster and faster until the assassin is finally dead when he gets his throat like cut. I was like, holy shit. So another fight scene that I could think of that I really also enjoyed was once again the one with Jet Li fighting himself at the end of the movie. I thought that was like super entertaining, and it's just the music, man. It's really early 2000s butt rock with Papa Roach playing in the background, and it's like, this is just classic filmmaking 101 with martial arts back then, just hyping you up to the fullest extent with the music and the fight choreography. So I really like that. I guess my final one. Let me think. Random fight scene. Just anything that Tony Jaa did in Ong Bak. That was also really impressive.
Oh
When
yeah,
the final slow mo shot of him elbowing the guy in the head was, oh man, that's so fucking sick. I love it.
that's a really good movie on Bug Street. Actually, I got another one. Well, I already said this at the beginning, but like I said, the hallway scene from Old Boy. It's not really technically a martial arts film, but that scene is really just. It's pretty impressive, like how like he took on all those dudes, and even when he got stabbed and like beat over, like when he was taking on everyone in that single hallway, he managed to like come out swinging. I really like that.
Uh, I guess for me, there's quite a few. I mean, I know one scene that comes to mind is in Rush Hour 2 when Jackie and Tucker is on the sticks and they're fighting going and well Carter goes to the staircase, but Jackie, he's just on the poles and everything like that, whacking people with the pole and everything like that, and saying all that like perfectly Corey, yeah, pretty like good, like I don't know, like I guess well written and well portrayed, because just seeing him like squeeze between the bars or the poles, that was gold. Another one has to be Ru- and the Rumble in the Bronx was another one. And I think it was the grocery store, which I posted a little video of it in the chat where he's surrounded by all these guys. I think it was about maybe 4 or 5, and he just takes them out one by one. And he doesn't focus on just one. He just goes to like his left, boom, took on one, his right, behind him. One guy tried grabbing his jacket. He ends up taking his jacket off, just spins out of it, wraps it around the guy's arm, and I think he kicks him in the stomach and then the chin. I just love that. Just using like regular objects as a way to benefit you and in a martial arts fight. Uh oh man. I know there was one scene in the Expendables with Jet Li where he's taking on Dolph Lundgren. And Dolph Lundgren, he's uh fighting, street rules, street fighting. And Jet Li, he's doing martial arts, and he's using his height to his advantage. That's what I like. That's what I liked about it. He may be, you know, relatively short, but for someone his height, he knows how to use that to his advantage. Uh, but other than that, I can't really think of anything else, honestly.
In that scene, I'll always remember the line, "Bring it, happy feet."
Oh yeah.
Every time
yeah.
with that.
Oh yeah, he had these. What size are those shoes? 2. Come on, bring it, happy feet.
Early in the movie, he gives him shit for having tiny feet.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, but I mean, yeah. Oh crap! I almost forgot. Forgot about Wesley Snipes. There were plenty of scenes in the Blade films and Demolition Man when he was taking on the cops. That was funny.
That scene was lit. That was a really cool ass scene.
Honorable mention when Blade, drinks the blood out of that random chick, and then he just proceeds to beat the shit out of everyone, rip out someone's throat, throw their throat against someone else and they get hit by it and then beat someone to death with a shovel. I'm talking that Blade 1 like fight sequence was awesome. The music, the style, the choreography, the aesthetics, just all 100% perfect.
Oh yeah.
Anyone else got any memorable fight scenes on their mind for favorites?
I did have a second one that it was the other one I was going to throw out, and the best way I can describe it is like the hallway scene from the first The Raid movie, when it's back when like where the SWAT or the SWAT officers are still kind of armed, and it's a combination of a martial arts scene, but also just he's got a boot knife on him, and there's a bunch of really grisly hits, and the two that always strike me are just two knife strikes. Where it's the it just went up in the chat, and it's one of them where I'm pretty sure he uses that to like pop a guy's kneecap off, and then another one where he just drags it up some guy's thigh in the middle of the fight.
Yeah.
And then it ends with him just like scraping a dude's face down the side of a wall. I had a bunch of buddies were like, oh man, if you like martial arts movies, this one's grisly as fuck. And I'm like, oh, is it? Yeah, it is. And it's just really badass.
Oh, I got another one with Donnie Yen. When Donnie Yen was fighting Colin Chow in Flashpoint. Dude, that fight scene was like really brutal. Because I know like Yen was throwing him around. Like he actually managed to like take off Colin's jacket, but also like his jacket at the same time, like threw him. That was really cool.
I like that fight because there's a lot of holds with the arm to try to
like it's
snap it or try to snap the neck, and stuff like that you'll normally see martial artists try to do, because if you cut off the oxygen, then that's it, the fight is over.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, because they use techniques to like choke them out essentially.
Yep. Oh man, it's actually just so many. Anyone else that didn't go yet?
Have you guys seen the movie Fearless?
No.
It's an old Jet Li movie where he plays as Fearless.
I think. Can you post the box art, please? I think I heard of it before.
You. Yeah, I remember I watched this when I was I forgot I watched this movie when I was younger. Just let me post this real quick.
Fearless.
Hold up.
Oh yeah, okay. I've seen the box art, but I have not seen the movie.
I would say give this movie a watch, because it's Jet Li plays this one character who grows up to do, I think, tournament kung fu.
There's actually, isn't there a movie Jet Li had where he was like a dog or something?
Unchained or something like that.
Unleashed, I think. I like.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. He's treated like basically an attack dog. But I haven't seen that in a minute. Oh, I don't remember a lot of that movie, but I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, because in the movie, he was cut off from like any kind of human connection, just him and the guy that quote unquote like owned him.
Yeah.
And the movie was all about him trying to learn how
to be human again,
how to fit in with humans, learn like human emotions, like sadness, love, happiness, things like that, because all he has ever been used before in his lifetime was fighting. That's all he knew, was fighting.
Dude,
he was never shown love or support or compassion. He was just purely used as an attack dog.
That movie is so sick because I just like the beginning, because it's
Morgan Freeman is in it too.
Yeah, it's like almost a supernatural thing, because the leash, once he takes it off, he turns into a fucking animal and starts beating the hell out of people. It is, if you haven't seen Unleashed, I would 100% recommend that you do, because I think you would really enjoy it. And also, it's a humbling aspect to him finally learning how to be a human, so later on when he like decides, hey, the guy's like, hey, go and fight this person. He's like, I don't want to fight him anymore because this is against my human element, and then he's put to the death. That's also cool as well when that happens like later in the movie.
I gotta watch that now.
Yeah,
I really gotta watch all these movies again.
I think you really like it. Any other fight scenes from anyone else?
Also, one last movie I'll mention is I think it's The Forbidden Kingdom with both Jackie Chan and Jet Li.
Oh shit.
Well, I think the first fight scene with Jackie Chan, it's him as the drunken master. So, I know we were just talking about that earlier. So, if you want to watch Jackie Chan as a drunken master, you're gonna want to check that out.
Yeah, I think I remember that. It was the big thing at the time was I don't think there had been a movie where like not Bruce Lee, Jet Li and Jackie Chan had done a project together. So I think that was like the big selling point at the time. I remember that very well. Man, I don't remember.
Barely
the movie
remember
off
the
top of my
plot,
head.
but that was all I remember about that. Just those two guys.
But basically, yeah, I don't remember the movie itself. I just remember at the time that was like a lot of people I knew were like, "Oh, dang, have you heard about this?" I'm like, "I have," but I don't. But that was like the one selling point at the time. It's just like they're both in the movie together. I don't even remember how old I
It
was.
was,
at the
yeah.
time.
That
It was
was
a while
that was
ago.
all the movie had going for it.
Damn, I now you just make me wish that there was more collaborations between martial arts people.
Yeah. I
I
was gonna say
Good.
the fight scene I really liked was with in IP Man 3 with Mike Tyson. That was really cool.
fucking why is Iron Mike
Yeah,
in that
he
movie?
was in that movie. He was in that movie. Actually.
Yeah, the 3-minute fight.
3 minutes, man.
He already beat the shit out of like a tourist, man. Now he's like fighting Donnie Yen. Like, come on.
Yeah, and he hits him in the ribs and actually hurts him pretty good. But it's a cool fight, especially with how raw and intense it is. Like you can actually feel all the punches, and I think Mike Tyson couldn't without any gloves. He hits like a train.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Iron Mike. I'm taught to punch through my opponent, Tyson.
I mean, he
Now
look,
kiss, now kiss my fist.
look,
He
look,
could do an
guys,
IRL MK fatality if he wanted to.
look, guys. You gotta remember, he bit someone's ear off, so he's a certified. He's the best.
Of course, there's also some of his other quotes, but I can't say them here because, yeah.
The only one I think I can say is I'll fuck you till you love me.
Yeah, that was the one and then he calls him the F word.
I guess I don't know, but I do think I do think that for the most part, some of these fight sequences that we've listed are just super fucking incredible. But we have to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me go down the list. Okay.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Number 4.
No, number 4. Okay. So this is an interesting. Yeah, this is an interesting question. Cite your reasoning as to why there's been a decline in martial arts film presently compared to the past.
Yeah, I would probably say because of current world events and the fact that people are away from that to like more heavy.
Drill, you cut out.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say because of current world events and because people have kind of shifted away towards more heavy effects films. I haven't seen Shang-Chi, but apparently people say it has good martial arts in it.
Yeah, and the guy himself said that he had no Asian actors to look up to before Shang-Chi came out.
Pause. That's a nah.
No.
I don't know what movies he was watching, but okay, but.
Like Simu Lee
You
is,
didn't watch Jackie Chan.
Simu Lee is like, who's Jackie Chan? I'm Shang-Chi. I want to do all
But
these
yeah,
martial arts things.
sadly, current Chinese cinema hasn't really done many martial arts films as of late.
Okay, so all right, jokes aside, I think the issue is for my take. They have been mostly, because when I see a martial arts movie these days, it's mostly people from Indonesia doing these films. I think The Raid is Indonesia. So those come out and then they get critical like praise, but they're not in bulk as they used to for like, you know, Asian martial arts films. And I think the reasoning is because it's like Drill said, it shifted to things with bigger budgets, and now everything is sort of the Hollywood melodrama action movie as opposed to just traditional martial arts. But there is like still elements of it with certain characters. We have talked about Shang-Chi, and there is like other characters as well that do martial arts, but it is definitely a novelty compared to the past. I don't know if it's just Hollywood not wanting to take a risk anymore. I probably would equate it to just that, because a lot of these movies are getting more expensive to make and they're costing money, but they used to be pumped out like a lot in the early 2000s. Like I'm talking, they used to be everywhere. So I don't know. They definitely were like 100% entertaining. And if we ever go back to that era where they were prevalent, then I wouldn't mind. But I do like the Indonesia and other sort of like indies still doing the martial arts films and all the stunts that come with it.
Yeah, I feel like, in my honest opinion, at least maybe the US, I think the demand isn't necessarily there for martial arts films as there once were. Especially nowadays climate, most likely to the studio's demographics, they don't necessarily want martial arts kind of films anymore. Which sucks, because without quite a lot of martial arts films, there honestly wouldn't be a lot of like action films in the US.
No, it's definitely that acquired taste that sort of made, because I mean their fighting style is so kinetic that I just remember that even in one interview they said for Mortal Kombat 2022, I mean 2021, whenever the fuck that movie came out, that one of the guys was so fast in martial arts that they couldn't keep up with him. He had to slow it down for them. I think it was Joe Towson.
Actually, now that you brought that up, you know what I'm surprised nobody mentioned?
What?
Mortal Kombat, for a movie that they like with martial arts.
You mean
Why
90,
was,
the 95 one or the
The
20
new
one?
one.
Both.
Yeah, both actually. Yeah.
Because both had quite a lot of martial arts scenes.
Oh yeah, that was when I was doing my three favorite. I was even saying like my last two just shared a movie, and that was Mortal Kombat.
Recently a movie came out called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Is it good?
There were scenes where that movie paid homage to old school kung fu movies.
Oh, cool.
I think the reason why martial arts movies aren't happening as much is it's pretty niche, and another thing is some actors they're not very trained in it, and they don't want to like get injured. So usually that's kind of why like special effects are getting like really pretty big nowadays. Like I know Internal's got like a lot of criticism for its fight scenes, like because like the CGI wasn't really the greatest, which it's kind of funny because the gif I have in the chat with Madong Seok, he actually has done like a lot of fighting in his movies, and like he's a pretty beefy guy. Like, you know, he's been in some brawls, and like and all the other actors really aren't martial artists, but yeah, you get what I mean essentially.
I want to add on to that. I also think it might just be a thing where our idols are getting old, or they aren't around anymore. Like, it's to get someone equivalent to a Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan or someone doing all this crazy shit. It's like once in a blue moon. You don't see it often these days, people willing to put everything on the line for our entertainment. Obviously those actors exist, but you know, they're not in bulk, so to speak. So I think maybe that's one other thing contributing to it, as well as the studios sort of not giving them their time to shine when they want to do all this crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because
think- Oh, go on.
I'll go on, Eli.
I was gonna say, I think the biggest reason that martial arts kind of fell off from like Western audiences is because of like the use of slow mo or big CGI effects.
I mean, I remember when The Matrix came out, that kind of exploded the whole slow-mo style into the mainstream.
And also just like really fast cuts during action scenes.
Oh, we're gonna get to that when we talk about
Yeah, we
fight
will.
choreography.
Oh, definitely.
That's actually the next question.
But largely, I think it just has to do with like the audience's attention span.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because they don't like
Mhm.
authenticity. They kind of want like big flashy stuff, which I don't mind. But after a while, it gets a bit samey. That's like I brought up Eternals, and I don't think it's a bad movie, but when you just have so much CGI effects, it's very distracting. It's just kind of hard to keep up with all the fight scenes, you know.
I think I'm a
Yeah.
victim of that as well because I remember that in John Wick 3 with the last big fist fight at the end, I was like slowly just nodding off, not paying attention to it because I don't know. To me, that seems like a good martial arts scene, but I was just bored because I was expecting, guns blazing, shooting in action, all that shit.
Yeah,
That was with the was that the one in the like the room full of mirrors and crap like that?
Yeah.
Or is that 2?
No, that was 3 you're thinking of. No,
Okay.
no. 2 has a room full of mirrors, but 3 also has a mirror room.
Oh well, good to know they're really stretching the creativity on that one. Double
well,
mirror rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like on top of that, if you're gonna do an entire scene in a room full of mirrors, that's just a nightmare to try to keep track of for spacing. That you could space out on that one easily. If you can't even tell what's happening because like the scene itself is like spaced and like the marks are all over the place. As soon as you lose track of people, you can start to check out pretty easily.
Actually,
Yeah.
to be fair, 2's mirror room had guns. Well, Keanu was like holding a gun through most of that, but 3 had a room full of glass.
Gotcha.
So I'm thinking like
Not exactly nice.
so I'm thinking like maybe it's sort of a case of I don't know, maybe people were scared to up the ante as well because the general expectation is I've seen all these fight sequences before, how do you really top what's been done before? And if you don't, then automatically it will get torn asunder because people are expecting a little bit more than necessary, which I mean I think that's fair because I don't want to see like a fight scene that's boring or not choreographed well. I want to see something that's actually like engaging and a little bit original, or you could just do something and mix it up. I mean, the Raid 2 has a fight sequence where it's 2 dudes using knives in the kitchen, where if you generalize that, we've probably seen that like a million times before, but the way they filmed it is interesting and the way they were fighting was completely, cool. It wasn't anything sloppy or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess if we're done with this one, anyone else has anything to say before we move on to the next question?
Well, I was also gonna say, like a lot of the movies that we've all been tossing out for like our favorite fight scenes and our favorite movies, even our favorite martial artists, the movies themselves are from a lot of them are from over a decade ago. If you look at like the landscape of actual filmmaking right now, due to mergers and buyouts, a lot of those studios don't actually even exist anymore. They've all been like consolidated together, and once you start losing the like a variety of different studios, a lot of them will stop taking chances on gambles. I a lot of times I'll kind of explain like the more companies like you see company or the more studios you see like companies like Disney buy out, whatever that studio did is going to start being like liquidated down into its base IPs and just being funneled into whatever the current marketable project is. So anybody that used to do a whole lot of work on martial arts movies or anything like that, if they faced financial hardships and got bought out, they might just not do that anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh yeah.
That's very true. That's very true, Cujo. Yeah, it's sad
Yeah.
truth, unfortunately.
yeah. I mean,
I just looked in the chat about not seeing any more diehards recently. I'm like, woo, given the last Die Hard, I'm okay with that.
That's look. Let Bruce retire, man.
Okay, so
Yeah,
he can't.
he is retired.
He can't
Yeah, yeah.
physically. I think he has, like, I forgot what the issue was, but he had to retire because he had some very messed up issue with him.
brain damage. He's
Form of brain damage.
he can't. Well, he can't remember certain. He can't remember certain things, along with struggling to write. Pretty much, like his writing, his ability got hampered.
Yeah, I remember they were going to do a prequel with Die Hard, and then they were like, "Fuck that, we're not doing that." So who knows?
That's a weird choice. Like the main character is known for the events of the first movie. It's weird to go back before that to, I guess, effectively tell a story that's less impactful than
Just
the ones
be
that technically
regular
already
Joe.
exist.
I mean, that kind of takes away from him being an everyday cop if they just do a prequel and they
Yeah.
get more like action movie.
Yep, I
And it's
remember.
funny, I can't see them rebooting it either, because like Bruce Willis is John McClane. You can't really recast that one without it feeling weird.
Yeah, I will add to what I was saying earlier about my reasoning for why martial arts films aren't there anymore like they once were. It's because that is not the theater trend right now. That's not the film trend going on right now. That trend was over like two decades ago. Right now it's the trend of it's legit just the trend of superhero movies, because that's what's getting the studios a lot of money, because it's the
Yeah,
same
and we
thing that happened
probably
with the
won't.
Old West. It's the same thing that happened with the Old West kind of movies like over 50 60 years ago, because you had Clint Eastwood. He was practically the face of Old West movies, and John Wayne, all that good stuff. That was on a trend for like over 20 almost 20 years, or at least 10. It was a good long time that trend of Old West movies was getting a lot of money in the box office. So I can see why it's not part of the trending, why studios aren't willing to take the risk for it, because they're afraid that it's not going to make as much money as if they did, superhero movies.
Yeah, that could also attribute. I enjoy superhero film, but definitely that is the most popular thing in right now. I think the last good like karate kung fu film that I've seen was definitely The Raid in theaters. Like that was it. And I think that came out like what 2013 or whatever, somewhere near there. So
Yeah,
that was pretty much the end for me in terms of like legit martial arts movies.
Yeah, it pretty much died because of the whole superhero craze taking over.
I don't hate superhero movies. Don't get me there are a lot of great ones. It's just, but after a while, you gotta have some variety,
Who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe in the next 10 years, we'll see another trend that happens. Maybe live action porno in the theaters. Who knows?
Anyways,
It's all about theater porno.
We
thank
should
you. Live, yeah.
move on, I think, right?
Yeah, you're right. So
You mind if I read it?
sure, no problem.
We've seen badly choreographed fight sequences before. What attributes to mistakes like this, in your opinion? When there's honestly, when there's way too many cuts. Like, you ever see that scene in? Well, it's an action movie, but you remember that scene in Taken 3 where Liam Neeson is jumping over the fence and there's like 30 cuts
Yes, I do. Unfortunately.
Mhm.
and it just looks terrible. Like they couldn't just use a stunt double, so they just had him like jump over the fence in like 30 cuts. And then there's the infamous the Iron Fist scene where it's like 50 cuts.
Oh my god, I hate Iron Fist. Ugh.
I
Yeah.
wasn't too fond of Black Panther's fight scenes.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah,
especially
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Drill, but that last fight scene was, I'm being honest, it was kind of mid. It was just the CGI was awful.
It was just two CGI characters fighting.
It looked
Yeah.
like a PS2 game, like.
Okay, so
yeah, not to mention they were fighting in the dark area as well, so it made it look even worse.
I'll be fair. The one where they were fighting in the waterfall, him and Killmonger, that was fine. But the last one definitely was like two PS2 characters just sort of going at it.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
One PS2 character palette swapped.
It's honestly a shame. Yeah, well, I think the problem is with Iron Fist when you don't have an actor that knows martial arts that well, it leads to cuts like that. So you got to get someone that actually knows it.
I don't think I've ever seen in history that someone is trying to block a knife stab with a book and it cuts like 20 times in order to get that done. I've just never seen that.
Yeah, someone could probably put the fucking song, that one song, "Cut My Life into Pieces."
Papa Roach.
Yeah.
Cut my book into pieces.
This is my last resort.
But yeah, that's what ruins it for me is mainly too many cuts.
For me, it's for me when it comes to like things like that, how there can be bad choreography. There's too many factors to list, too many variables. One variable that comes into mind is short time to work with. And if things are done like last minute, if reshoots happen, that's another thing. Because reshoots, contrary to what people believe, it can really mess up. It can really mess up development. Especially when you're trying to like shoot fighting scenes, because that actually takes quite a bit to, work on. I mean, there's the multi cuts, but and also like the people that works on the choreography, like are they good at what they do? Are they mid? What are their credentials like? Things like that. It's just way too many variables to list off, unfortunately. But that's like the main thing that sticks out in my mind is how long do they have to work with? Is there going to be reshoots later down the line, etc.?
Yeah, I'm gonna just double down on what Cryo said now. I don't hate this movie. When I watched this movie, I definitely thought that it was entertaining. But there are people out there that sort of compare the fight scenes of The Matrix Resurrections to the first one. And the first one definitely had, people who choreographed it that knew what they were doing, that were professionals. And the big meme is that for Resurrection's sake, when they came to their fight scenes, it always ended with Neo doing a force push and that's it, as opposed to him actually fighting people with powers. Even when he didn't have powers, he was still fighting. Even when he had powers, he was still fighting in The Matrix Reloaded. So it was choreographed really well with the kung fu and the special effects and how they handled that, as opposed to this where it's like a force push each and every single time. So I definitely would say that you need to choreograph these scenes right. Obviously you got to have safety in there, so there's that. So you're not wondering, hey, this guy got hit with a high heel on the side of his head, half his brain is showing.
Yeah.
We got to take care of that, because that happened to Bruce Willis too.
Yeah, because I think people don't realize that when you're a choreographer, it's legit like a writer writing a script.
you're basically writing a move script on how the actor should do it.
Sometimes they have to improv that a little bit too, because like you'll be told what the set is gonna have, and then you get there and it is not in any way how it was supposed to be described. So you have to like re-block everything, reposition a lot of things. Like, that table, we were only supposed to have 3 tables. There's 6. Like, well, can we get rid of 2? No. Why? Like, I've heard there's a ton of problems when it comes to choreographing actually like on the spot.
Oh, I made my jokey joke. I made my dark jokey joke for the day.
Don't remind me that, dude, the Paul Anderson Resident Evil movies choreography is garbage.
So fuck Paul Anderson, because he got like people killed and maimed. And you don't want to do it that way. You definitely want to have some semblance of what's going on. Like I think one of my favorite YouTubers said this best. A good fight scene is where I know where every punch, every kick, every stab, every throw is landing. Once you cut away from that way too much, and I have no idea what the fuck is going on because there's like 8 billion shaky cams in there and they're trying to be cool with it, it gets annoying. As a matter of fact, I don't even like shaky cam that much. I know the Bourne movies got away with it, but when other directors started to adapt that into their style, and it got even harder to tell what's going on because there's like 5 earthquakes on screen, that's when it gets really bad.
I'm glad you brought up Bourne, because I was gonna say that's one of the things that absolutely takes me out of a fight scene is that shaky cam crap where I don't even know what I'm looking at. And like Bourne is like the trifecta of that problem sometimes, where it's shaky cam, bad blocking and editing and cutting, and then it's too dark on top of all that, so I don't even know which of these 2 blobs I'm looking at, because it's 2 guys in black suits in a poorly lit room at night. So great, thanks. I mean, I could just skip ahead 10 minutes and I'll just figure out who's standing later. The other thing that it's a weird one to explain because it's hard to come up with an example of it, but if your fight scene has no hook, or there's nothing memorable about what happened in it, and you can't just go, oh, the fight in this movie where this thing happened, it kind of bugs me because I don't know what I just watched or what the point of it was. And I was kind of stressing my brain to figure out what an example was. And the one that crossed my mind was in Matrix Reloaded. There's a scene where Neo meets, I don't remember, it's the guy who like works for the Oracle, and he's like, you only know somebody when you fight them. But like, what was any of that fight? What happened in it? Was anything unique or special about it? Or was it just another, like, did they just like throw another fight at the wall and it was like, that's stuck, put it in?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's when he fought that guy, and the only way to know who he was to get into combat, and Neo didn't want it, but he engaged. So I don't know. Yeah, it seems like that, where it's like, I would like the fight to have a lot more purpose. I would like the fight to have some weight. I forgot what movie this was, but I think it had Uko Uwais, and he's fighting his best friend. He didn't want to do it, but he was forced to, and slowly as you watch the fight progress, it's basically 2 friends like killing each other. So there's that like shot at the end where he tries to like shoot him in the back and he's unsuccessful. I'm sure people in the comment section would know. But yeah, this is something that has emotion to it, a reasoning, a purpose. They don't want to kill each other, but they're on opposite sides, so there's nothing they could do but fight. I think combat like that is a lot more engaging because you understand why these 2 people are going through it, even if they don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just random fight scene A or B and like the context is pointless, then I'm going to be like, hey, that was probably cool, but I just wish it was a little bit more weight to what was going on. So
like I don't know, like for me there needs to be like some kind of key thing where it could be like that one where like if I was to explore like if I had to like break down any of the scenes from like that Matrix movie, it's like the one on the truck or the one in that like the weapon room in that house, as opposed to like, you remember like where you have to like key it up. Like, you remember the one where like these two guys were in a room and they got on some tables and I think they kicked some pencils at some point. It's like, well, you kind of spelled it out. It's a forgettable, crappy scene.
Oh yeah, and bad lighting. Oh my! Look, if I can't see shit, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't know what's going on if it's way too dark. I've seen,
It's terrible.
I've seen action movies and fight scenes just like that, and I'm like, dude, more Iron Fist. Fuck.
I'm glad. You know what? I'm actually really glad you brought up Iron Fist. Like, I don't mean to cut you off, but like,
That's fine.
bruh, the fact that Louis Tan is the drunk guy is just a better fighter than the main character is. It's astounding.
Recast.
Maybe
Iron
they
Fist.
should have. Maybe they should have just had Louis Tan as Iron Fist instead.
I go for that because at least he actually knows martial arts, and you know they aren't basically just shoehorning in the scene with like thousands of cuts.
Did it? I mean, I've heard the second season did improve, but
They
I think
did.
I think the first season was it already left such a bad taste that I don't think anything could have saved it.
Like don't get me wrong, I would suggest if people wanted to watch Iron Fist and see it, the whole experience, like start to finish, I will say watch season 1 and season 2, and season 2 is definitely a lot more better. But yeah, first impressions are everlasting at times, and that probably sunk it for a lot of people, but they did learn their lesson later on, so I can't fault them for at least learning and trying, because the fights in there are a lot more dynamic, and you just start to think this should have been what happened in season 1, but no. But I'm not gonna harp on it too much because, like I said, I enjoy season 2 for what it was. But yeah, definitely bad lighting. Gotta watch that. Shaky cam. Gotta watch that. I don't like seeing the stuntman's face when it's very visible that there's a stuntman right there. I'm not sure if we pointed that out, but that has happened numerous times where it's like, you gotta do a better job at concealing yourself, because if you're trying to be like, for example, I don't know, let's take an actor. If you're trying to be Tom Cruise and put Tom Cruise in the shot, and then turns out we can clearly see Joe Blow as him, that's not a good idea. You gotta do better editing, or at least CGI out the face, because you can do that with technology. Even back in the past, you know, you can still do that. So anyone else before we move on to the next question?
Cujo pretty much said it best, so I'm gonna have to pass on this question.
That's fine. We can simply move on to the next one, which is describe your viewpoint on the differing eras of martial arts movies. Which one was the best in your opinion from the 90s, 80s, 70s, and the 2000s? This one's hard for me because I don't really remember a lot of 70s like martial arts movies outside of maybe your Bruce Lee's and all that stuff. Going into the 70s, 80s.
I mean, from what I had seen, whether it was like clips from like the older stuff. Honestly, from what I saw, it seemed like throughout the years, the more and more the fights became more intense. The fights became more intense, more drawn out in a good way. It didn't end like quick.
Yeah.
And it seems like the more quote unquote like outrageous they became. Like, for example, the scene I said where Jackie Chan and Rumble in the Bronx used his jacket to wrap it around the guy's arm and twist it. Like, things like that. Using more objects to their advantage, things like that. Like, that's what I had seen him, you know, and
watching clips and watching like 90s martial arts films to now. That's what I've seen at least. It seemed to just become more outrageous in a good way, more drawn out in a good way, meaning like longer fights, um, and more creative as well.
Yeah, I think when we got to the 90s, that's where the outrageous thing applies because I mean, in some of these action movies, you just have like bonkers shit going down. This is when Jackie Chan was like really prevalent during this time. And then when you get to the early 2000s, that's like your Jet Li's and, when you get to mid and like later on you get to your Tony Jaws where it seems during that era the fight sequences got way more intense. But honestly, I just think I can't just pick one over the other. I think they have their own unique quirks and they have their own unique things to them, whereas like you can appreciate everything that they do for whatever mood you seem to be in, which is the great thing about picking from era to era.
Absolutely. Yeah. At least for me, I'll go quick. It's interesting, because I don't really have a particular favorite era in martial arts. I actually kind of like all the eras for different reasons because it's like when you have your Bruce Lee's and your Jackie Chan's that like really sort of like influenced a lot of martial arts, like like Scott Atkins, Michael J. White, stuff like that. Then you get people much later on, in like the 2000s, like Tony Jaa and Donnie Yen. It's always really refreshing. Like that's kind of thing I love. Oh yeah, they were the forefathers. Yeah, but it's always kind of like refreshing when you get like new blood, but also the old guard still, establish what the genre is. So I don't really have a favorite. I kind of like all of them. I know I'm weird like that, but yeah.
Same. I like all for differing reasons. But anyone else?
I would like to say, I would like to say that I do like the 70s and 80s ones because a lot of those movies were really goofy. Yeah, at the same time, it's like really cool choreography. If I and also I would like to say like I like the 90s and the 2000s ones because some of the movies have more darker, serious tone, which I enjoy.
Oh, absolutely. Hold on. So, Drill, you're saying something?
Yeah, I don't know too much about the 70s aside from like the really cheesy ones. Like there was a martial arts Dracula film called I think it was called The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Oh,
It's literally about Van Helsing going to China to try to stop Dracula and then fighting vampires there.
hold on. Let me see if I can find it. But if we're talking about,
You know that summary right there makes you want to watch it, though. That says something.
Honestly, yeah.
what was it? The Last Dragon.
Oh my god, The Last Dragon is so good.
Show
Oh.
enough.
It's so stupid. I love that movie.
I love that movie so much.
Bruce Leroy is the best.
Bruce Leroy.
I put a clip of that way back
Bruce.
ago. I'm like, if anybody hasn't seen this, watch this. Watch The Last Dragon. It's so fucking outrageous.
Yeah, he's Bruce now because he has the power of the glow.
That's right. I forgot he went like Super Saiyan at the end of that movie.
Wait,
Yeah, he got
Okay, I gotta
this
see
weird.
that.
He got this weird golden power. This is crazy.
The whole movie's on YouTube. It's like public domain by now.
Mm.
It's fantastic and ridiculous. That's like my favorite era of like martial arts movies is because like early in like the 70s to like early 80s you've got those like that's like Bruce Lee, Sonny Chiba, like those kind of the term I'd use is classic, I guess, classic martial arts movies where it really felt like it was a showcase just to show off martial artists. And like the story was there. sometimes it was really good, sometimes it really just wasn't the point. Um, you're not gonna get like exceedingly brutal um kind of fight scenes like you'll find in, you know, your the Raid or your Ong Bak or something like that. But what you'll get is you'll get I'm trying to think of the way I want to like phrase it is you'll get like just an authentic actual like martial arts sparring match. It's not going to be cut all to hell. It's not going to be they still had wire fighting at the time, but it's not going to be just laced with special effects all over the place. You're just going to get a display of actual technique and skill. And yeah, it's choreographed, but that doesn't take away from it. It's still incredibly impressive. Whereas as you kind of move on through 90s to 2000s, you're going to it's the wire fighting, especially in like American cinema, gets outrageous to like a ridiculous degree. And it doesn't take away from it all the time, but it kind of has an impact where it's not as impressive in my opinion for some of it. Like wire fighting suits are uncomfortable, and you still have to be able to pull off stunts, but it loses a little something. More special effects, more cuts, make it seem a little bit more workshopped and focused from like a studio perspective. And then you also have like your 2010s, which I think kind of go back a little bit to the classic sort of style, but they're still a lot more heavily edited. But it kind of stops relying as much on gimmicky special effects and just starts going on I think better prop work where like there's a lot more like breakaway stunt props. There's a lot more like I said way back when we started, like especially in like the Hong Kong scene, the stunt performers there just take a freaking beating a lot of the times, but it's in the service of trying to make a more authentic and just generally good looking fight scene, as opposed to again that mid tier where it's like 90s to 2000s. It gets a little hard to watch in some of those.
Oh yeah, damn. Well, I want to have a side question, but I'm gonna let someone else go. Anyone else have any questions on the current one we're sort of talking about with Eros? Oh, going once.
I got nothing to say.
I said all I needed to.
Okay, so I have a really good side question here. So what do you guys think of wire fu, which is when, you know, you look at your Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons, where they're like jumping around all over the place. What do you think of wire fu, and what do you think of gun fu, where it's like equilibrium, where the guy's like doing all these crazy martial arts, but he's just shooting the fuck out of people? What do you guys think of those two styles, and do you think there should be more of these movies or less?
I like Gun Fu, personally.
Gun Fu's awesome. I love it.
I love the John Wick film.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's unique because it's martial arts with guns. It's something that fucking I don't see a lot. I don't see often, if ever, and only a few movies really replicated this format.
People forget.
Only in America.
Yeah.
People forgot about Equilibrium
Yeah,
with
that was
Christian
actually-
Bale.
yeah, that actually came to mind. I remember Equilibrium. Like, I think that was like a 2002 movie, but yeah, the gun con in that movie was insane. And shoot, what was it? Yeah, but yeah, that's all I gotta really say.
I fucking love Gun Kata. I think if they wanted to bring in something unique, then you should make like maybe a few Gun Kata movies and see how it goes.
Oh yeah, like
It's a very rare like sort of niche for kung fu movies, but it's so awesome when they do it.
yeah, like sort of a little off topic, but I know like Sleeping Dogs, for example, like it's games like Sleeping Dogs and Max Payne, they kind of have some gun kyle a little bit in it, you know, because it's even though Max Payne isn't really like martial arts, you could still like you got the typical slow mos and like bullet time, stuff like that. Yeah.
As for wire fu, it's an acquired taste, but I will say that you sort of lose the realism of fights if you can clearly tell that the person's like flying around. Like, if it makes it look like good in fantasy settings and what have you, then I think it's fine. But if it's just a guy like flailing about like 60 feet in the air, then I'm just gonna say that's kind of ridiculous looking. It depends on what's going on. For Matrix, when they were doing a lot of wire fu, I get it because computer program and you can do all this crazy shit and you can jump around and say you have like 60 fighting styles like a video game. I totally understand it, but if the setting does not accommodate doing wire fu, then it's gonna come off as weird.
Yeah, there's got to be like a point for it. It can't just be because it's a neat thing. You can't just be like, I want my character to do 3 backflips. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense. But in like the Matrix, it does, because that's the whole point of the movie, is to like defy logic, reality, and physics.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, also since it takes place inside of, the system, it makes a whole lot of sense.
I also think it worked pretty good in what's that movie? It's one of my favorite movies, Inception. It worked really good in that because, again, it fit the theme. They did a lot of wire fighting, or they did a lot of like wire crew stuff in that one.
Oh yeah, the movie within the whole dream within the dream shit.
Yeah, I love that shit.
The hallway fight in that movie was entirely practical. Like they had a whole
it was
rotating set for it.
Well, yeah, but I just mean like the general like idea behind it, maybe not wire fight, not like a wire crew thing, but like the concept behind it made sense.
Okay.
As opposed to like just doing it in any other action scene. It at least it served a purpose within the actual plot.
Wait, am I dreaming? Let me pull out my totem.
Oh, welcome back, Ryle. Dang.
It's a podcast within a podcast.
In a podcast.
We have to cast deeper.
In the pod.
Within a pizza, within the Taco Bell.
Oh god.
He's in a pod,
Within Enigma.
All right, so we can move on.
As for like Gunkata and Gunfu, I think it's great. It's just a weird concept because sometimes it's just done kind of wrong. Like in John Wick and his bottomless clip. It's fine. It serves a purpose, but I mean, realistically, you've got like what, 15 shots? He doesn't reload the thing ever. So it works, but you also got to remember with Gunkata, if you're never going to reload, it's like if you could only punch 15 times.
Yeah.
The first movie really cared about like shit like trigger discipline and reloading, but I think it kind of lost that sense of reality as like around 2 and 3.
Yeah, as it went on.
It's because they just started to embrace more of the crazy shit.
The crazy stuff, yeah.
In the museum scene, he fires like 17 shots before reloading. I don't know if that's standard for that kind of gun he was using, but who knows?
Like, just if you want to do it, but make it real, just put on like extended clips, like, because I think when it's like, I don't know if it's a homage or whatever, but in Resident Evil Vendetta with Leon shooting the zombies in the hallway, he had like an extended clip on his gun, and before it was actually time to reload, it made sense because he had like that magazine there. So why not just do that? That'd make more sense.
Watching Vendetta made me think, the people who made the movie watched John Wick and said, yeah, we could do that.
Oh, absolutely.
But with zombies.
Absolutely. That scene was entirely Leon Wick, 100%.
Honestly, they should just do like a non-canon John Wick where he just is in the zombie apocalypse.
I buy it.
I would say if you're gonna...
That'd be cool.
If you're gonna do scenes like that, I would just say have the character swap weapons. It's a gunfight movie. Everybody's got a firearm.
Like,
I thought in John Wick they were accurate with how many shots were being fired, because I could have sworn in 2 he switched sidearms. Or
I
at
think in
least
like
found a magazine from a dead bodyguard that was compatible with his handgun.
was it 2 or 3 that has the scene where like Lawrence Fishburne's like $7 million for 7 bullets or something like that? It's one of them. I don't remember which one it is at this point. But that same scene without switching weapons, I think he shoots about 15 bullets with his 7 bullets.
Yeah.
So like again, you have 7 bullets, but everybody in this room has a gun. Just swap weapons. It would
Yeah.
have been
Oh,
easy to choreograph, especially if they have like different guns. That at least mixes up it mixes the scene up a bit. Because look, I love the gun kata, but he does like handgun headshot like about 50 times per movie.
He does. He does. Like that is. I love John Wick, but it is mostly handgun headshots for like the entire trilogy.
I take it back. The
Yeah.
one that really got me though was in the third one where he has to break into that museum to get that old like Smith and Wesson revolver, and he has to actually like go find ammunition and basically like it's in pieces. I think he has to like put the thing together and just on the spot get a gun from a museum, something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
John Wick movies are just crazy, man. A lot of good stuff.
But I mean, I'm all for it if they bring this style back in the future, or just
Somebody dropped off.
But yeah, Eli's power went out. But I'm all for it if they bring it back in the future, or if they decide to enhance it in ways that people have never really done it before. I think that'd be nice.
The only thing I have against that series at this point is just at a certain point I can't turn my brain off and I can't just accept that literally the entire world is part of this underground assassin organization. Is it underground anymore? If everybody's underground?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a single person in that movie who's not part of the assassin organization.
At the end, everyone was looking at John Wick like, well, the time's running out, so all of us in here, we want a slice of that pie and that money if we kill him. So I guess they were framing it to show how intense the scene was, but at the same time, I like everyone in this park is potentially an assassin, and they know about this hit that's gonna be called in like a few minutes. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and everybody's on the exact same group email. They all get that text at the exact same time. Not one person had to share that to a friend or something.
But considering, I guess this will be a good segue into the final section, which we're going to talk about like general action movies that's like more Hollywood blockbusters instead of martial arts cinema. So we're going to talk about listing off some of our favorite Hollywood action movies of all time. So who wants to go first?
Oh, go ahead. That was 2 ums. I will.
All right. Favorite action movies of all time. Really hard because there's a crap load of them, but really normie answer. But I do like the John Wick movies. I really like the Mission Impossible movies. Like those movies are always really fun. Like just the action scenes of those are just fantastic. Really hard. It's really hard because there's a lot of really good action movies. Like I'm kind of drawing blanks, but those 2 series come to mind usually for action films.
Die Hard, Terminator 2.
Die Hard. Yo, I forgot about Die Hard. Die Hard's lit. I love Die Hard. Like Die Hard 1 is like the best Christmas movie ever, hands down.
Not Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon's great.
Yo,
it's great.
What about Jingle All the Way?
Oh, fuck off.
Okay.
Schwarzenegger punches the reindeer.
Okay, Loki.
Action movie right there.
Loki, Eli, Jingle All the Way is like it's so bad, it's fun. Like I don't dislike that movie. It's like a guilty pleasure. Just I mean, it's got Sinbad in it. Like Sinbad.
I was mostly joking, but still, it is a good movie.
Commando. I mean, Commando's pretty entertaining in his own right. Arnie just breaks some guy's neck, and then he puts a hat on him, makes him go to sleep. It's like, please don't disturb my friend here. He's dead tired.
I lied.
I promised to kill you last. I lied. He just throws him off the fucking cliff. Rambo is also a good series if you're into
Of course.
Oh, Rambo's great.
Stallone just slaughtering everyone with a giant fucking chain gun, then you will love that.
Like,
Well, since
I
we
don't know.
mentioned
That
the
last one was a
sequel,
little. Eh.
I did not see the last one. I just remember it was super fucking bloody and people were like pissed at it. I was like, this is great. He pulls out someone's heart. If I'm going there for gore, then it's gonna be just that.
well, since somebody mentioned the Expendables 2, and it's on my mind right now, I would have to say the first the first Expendables movie.
Damn. There was this movie with Stone Cold called The Condemned. I haven't seen it, but there's just people trying to kill each other. I thought that was like just nice to have that.
Shit, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's the one that's kind of battle royale-ish, where they all
Yeah, they're all on an island. They're trying to kill each other. I thought that movie was entertaining so much.
Wait, which movie?
The Condemned.
Oh, okay.
It's
Because
good. Check it out.
I thought you guys were talking about the actual action movie Battle Royale.
No, no, that's dog shit. Read the book.
I like the movie.
Oh,
Just don't watch the sequels.
read the book anyway. It's better.
Okay, okay,
I
hold
hate
on.
this.
In all seriousness, Matrix 1, just fantastic, a classic. I know it's probably going to be on a lot of people's list, maybe, but I would pick that.
Yeah, I'm about to watch it after this podcast.
And
I think all three are good.
I'm probably gonna watch a bunch of movies once I'm done with the pod.
also Mission Impossible Fallout. That entry was really nice. I enjoyed it. Great theater experience. Henry Cavill is the bad guy. That's always cool. You know, it's a good time. Also, someone is typing. I think it's Xander. Be sure to mute your mic, sir.
If I had to pick some like best of all times, like Expendables 1, I think is really great. So it was just the thing that came up in the feed, so I'm just like, yeah, that is good. Transporter's a really good series. Die Hard.
Fuck.
Hardcore Henry is really cool too.
Transporter, yeah, and Crank. That's also another really. I like Crank. That movie
was amazing.
It's stupid, and Jason Statham manages to jumpstart his heart by fucking a woman in public. But
What?
it's that is
that good.
That
It's
happened. In this movie.
amazing.
It's that good, man.
That sounds amazing.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
And then I mean, like Mortal Kombat's up there too. The 95 one, and that's it. Oh man, I'm trying to think of like other ones. Like I could list them all day. Die Hard, yeah. Demolition Man, I know got brought up a lot of times.
Oh my god, not the Fast and Furious.
Death
movie.
Race, I think, is another really good one.
Yeah.
I like Death Race.
After Tokyo Drift. I don't
I'd
know.
say-
Like like you fell off from Fast and Furious.
It just stopped being like about racing
Cars.
sports cars, and it became a superhero movie.
But
Hear about Corona and family.
The family. The best scene in that movie was when Vin Diesel was fighting Jason Statham. He literally stomps on the ground and says, "Whether was it street fights like on the street?"
When the street fight's back.
No,
yeah, something like that.
I think he said the street always wins.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, he said
the
that.
street
That's
always
what he
wins,
said.
and he just falls through the ground. It's so
Oh.
stupid, man. Oh my lord.
I don't know, man. Best Fast and the Furious line is when Lilo tells Stitch that Ohana means family, and family never gets left behind.
Oh.
Anyone else have any favorite action movies, Hollywood action movies they want to bring up?
Does The Mummy count from 1999?
I like The Mummy.
I mean,
sure.
it's more something like Indiana Jones, but I guess
It's adventure.
Indiana
but
Jones action? I mean, like, they're adventure, but I think it's action adventure.
It kind of is, yeah. And there's this one dude that spins a sword, and Indiana Jones just shoots him.
That
There you
was
go,
the greatest
boom,
scene
it's
ever.
action.
yeah. Originally, they wanted like an actual full-on fight, but I guess Harrison Ford didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
I think he was
sick.
He got sick.
Yep.
And he's like,
He got
he
sick.
literally he told the director, he's like, "Look, I have a gun. Can I just like shoot him?"
Just shoot him. It's like, all right, give it a shot.
And I
Chad
think he
shit.
said yes. I think he said yes because he was like, you know what, it's gonna be funny.
Damn, fuck.
On top of that, it's gonna be like one take, not a bunch.
I'm trying to think.
I think they actually filmed it.
I'm trying to think of more action movies, but none comes to the top of my head right now. Anyone else?
Nobody's gonna mention Triple X.
I remember Triple X. It was with Vin Diesel, and he was basically this extreme sports star or whatever turned into an agent.
Pre-family.
Yeah, this was pre-family, and it was. I mean, I liked the first movie for what it was. They had some cool stunts and shit like that. And then the series just sort of went downhill. They got Ice Cube to be in the sequel, and then they had another Triple X, which was the return of Xander Cage, which is Vin Diesel coming back. But I heard it was ass, so I have not.
You forget that in that movie he rides a motorcycle on the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
That's-
Return of Xander Cage came out 2017.
Yeah,
I
because they
remember that
originally
movie.
supposedly they were like, oh, we're gonna kill his character, and then they're gonna come back and make a very mid Triple X movie. So
Yeah,
I remember them
that's-
all being
I'm-
very
I'm-
meh.
I think
Yeah,
the first
with
one,
the last one, people didn't like it.
I
yeah,
like the first movie, but
the
the sequels are pretty. Yeah,
the first one is the best one in my opinion, but everything else, like, eh.
So would Riddick count? The Chronicles of Riddick count as an action movie, or
action
more
adventure
like
maybe? Could be
I
both.
think Chronicles of Riddick would. I don't know if Pitch Black.
It's
would,
a
though.
science fiction.
Yeah, Pitch Black to me just seems like horror, straight up like people
Yeah.
hiding and shit.
Yeah, Pitch Black is more of a horror movie.
But then after that, things get Chronicles of Ridiculously actiony.
many other ones?
Yeah.
Oh, then I guess we can move on to next one.
I mean, I didn't have any other ones. I think you guys pretty much said everything.
Okay, so we can move on to number 8. So Drill, you can read that one off.
Yeah, action movies are described as turn your brain off fun. Do you think there should be more story substance to action films in order to care for the characters? I mean, I guess you should be able to at least care about the characters to some extent.
Yeah, because in my opinion, it has to have a story to it. Otherwise, it just becomes a cliche, mindless flick. In my honest opinion, to put it blunt.
You needed the empathy to get behind John Wick.
yeah.
Yeah, same with Taken,
Mhm.
because the guy's just looking for his daughter, and they needed a way to, have Liam Neeson start beating up people.
Same with
mean-
Matrix,
Yeah,
because Matrix is kind of like this. It's like with Neo, they go into a lot of depth with like the world and pretty much why Neo's in the Matrix, and you kind of develop this connection. So when he goes through all this stuff, you kind of like feel for what he's feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Matrix tries to take it because I mean, Mr. Anderson is basically a normal guy, but they try to take it and sort of warp your brain a little bit with is this real? Is this reality? Should I take the red pill or the blue pill? So it's a little bit more just complex than that, which I appreciate because you're also not only caring for the characters, but you're also having this distorted view into what reality really is and how the future is just ruled by the machines. So when they have all this substance in these action movies, Terminator is also like kind of like deep with the time travel shit and how they're trying to assassinate Sarah Connor's like last son and everything like that. So when you have that emotion, then they do a lot with it, but I feel like you will have your action movies that are just rock'em sock'em robots, which is, I mean, that's fine, but your reaction to the film itself and the story will probably be vastly different if they focus on something that basic. I think you're gonna have your deep action movies and you're gonna have your ones where it's like, okay, robots fight, that's it, or Godzilla and Kong will fight and that's it.
So, like
Yeah.
the first Transformers movie where they're just like destroying shit. You
So-
see
That's what I
all
was
the
about to
wrong.
say.
something like that, yeah.
The only problem is that it kind of grinds to a halt when it focuses on the human characters and you don't really care about them.
Plus, the story got really stupid after a while. Like in the second movie, Optimus Prime died. Well, he dies for like a few minutes, then comes back in the span of like what 5 minutes. It's really silly.
That's
And then
kind
they
of
got
weird.
dumb with like the last night
Ooh.
because with the last night stuff.
I haven't seen Last Night actually. I've only seen the first two.
Transformers Watch Party 1.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the first one, but I'll admit that there is some stuff that could have been easily cut out.
I think Sam's kind of a boring character too. He's kind of like cardboard.
I mean, hence why they axed him after 3 movies.
Is there really a character in Transformers named Deep Wang?
Deep Wang.
Why? Why is this guy's name Deep Wang? Like, I'll post a video in chat, but I remember watching a clip of that and I was confused.
Wait, no, yeah, there is. You mean in the movies? I thought you meant like in classic Transformers.
no.
Deep Wang like a character that they're referencing? I'm like, not that I remember.
We're talking about the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah.
There is a Deep Wang, and he's threatening to beat up his boss. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, he's deep, all right.
Oh man, dude.
The entirety of the Transformers movies, all their action scenes somehow feel like they're too dark while being well lit. I don't even know what I'm looking at half the time, and I couldn't pick one of those fight scenes out and tell you what movie it's from.
Yeah, the fight scenes in those movies are real. They're so over the top to the point it's kind of like just parody.
I like the city fight in the first one, but that's all I remember so far when I was watching it. Also, the one in the desert, because it was just cool. Like, it was just kind of cool seeing the Transformers under the sand.
Oh yeah,
Which one in the desert? They do that in a bunch of movies.
Oh yeah, it gets
He's
repetitive.
talking about the first Transformers movie.
Yeah, just the first one.
I'm just taking jabs at how that movie is. It all bleeds together after a while.
It does.
In my opinion, like a lot of the action of Transformers,
It could be just my It could be just my memory, because Rick, I tell you, I unfortunately have so much of a good fucking memory.
But
Well, you know what? I guess we have to just watch that movie. We should marathon those movies.
Last night.
Look, I'll be down for that. I mean, we watched the bad RE live action movies, so we can watch some bad Transformers movies.
That means the Michael Bay Turtles is also going to be up for the equation, so I don't mind
It's Tricky Do Rocker Rap.
that.
They use that song for the trailer.
Fuck. But I guess we can move on to question number 9. Andre, could you read that, please?
Oh, sure. We talked a bit about what makes a great fight scene. Now, let's talk about what makes a great chase scene and a great shootout. Cite some examples. It's really hard to say, but I think what makes it a really good chase scene is like, essentially it's kind of like if both parties, like one person's chasing the other, but it's like this very fast and intense like scene. Because there was this one movie that came out years ago. It was a parkour movie. It was from France, and it was really cool because the main character was like essentially he was like really skilled at parkour and was running all these guys that were chasing around this building, and the cool thing about it was like the guy was talented at, so it's like he was kind of like in his element, and everyone else was trying to keep up with him. So I really liked that. Where like I love parkour scenes in general, just like the fluidity of the movement. Like when you just going from one place to another. As for shootouts, makes it a really good shootout is just more so like the intensity of it, like how crazy it gets. Like John Wick, when John Wick gets in gunfights, it's not like needless violence. It's kind of like he's fighting a room of all these guys and he's like dispatching them one by one in like the coolest way possible. And the cinematography of those movies is so on point that it kind of makes those scenes very memorable. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, I mean, with with like chase scenes, whether it's by car or on foot, the main thing the main thing that I try to look for is how many cuts do they make per minute? Because there's a lot of movies out there where it does a lot of like cuts, like unnecessary cuts or what have you, and it just kind of like uh depends on who you are, in my opinion, because it does like these doesn't necessarily bother me too much unless it's like over 100 cuts per minute. Um, but with this, um, there's been quite a few movies and even like shows where they do a lot of like cuts to chasing. I mean, like uh like there's a plenty good like good examples of like proper, chasing. I mean, there was let me see. There was Casino Royale, the first movie with Daniel Craig, where he's chasing the guy through um through a courtyard, then no, not through a courtyard, through the streets, then he chased him to throughout a construction site, just like chasing after him like relentlessly, and that was done with like not too many cuts that would like take you out of it. um and I'm surprised nobody mentioned this, by the way, the Batman
Oh
with
yeah,
its action
Yeah.
scenes
the car
and
scene that was awesome.
and the
Mhm.
car scene as well.
That
That was the
scene was
best. That was one of the best scenes in the movie.
same. Like it was just really intense. I just loved it.
Yeah, and that did not have that many like cuts to it, in particular with the car chase. But I mean, there's been like a lot of like car chase scenes, uh like uh like back in the 80s and 90s, like Clint Eastwood movies. There was quite a few where there was like a car chase, and um there's like little to no cuts. So uh I did like that. And another good example is the first Robocop movie, when he's going through the what do you call it? The the factory where they were making the drugs and they were packaging the cocaine, and he just came bursting through the door and just gunning down everybody. That was I like that. I like that a lot. But those are my examples, honestly. I mean, there's so many to actually point out. It's ridiculous.
I'm not gonna add much because I'm gonna let you guys take most of these for the next few. But I will say for the shootout aspect and what really needs to make a good shootout is like every action scene, mostly tension. Someone gets shot, it should be a serious situation. Someone gets hurt, it should be a serious situation. I think one of the best shootouts of all time, in my opinion, is from that movie Heat, where clearly, like, it's a bank robbery gone wrong, and a lot of civilians are in the way. It's cop versus robber, and the bullets are flying all over the place, and nobody trying to get hit, but they're also trying to get the fucking police off their back. And there's that one scene at the end where the criminal grabs a little girl, and it's a hostage situation. So Al Pacino rolls up, puts one in his head, and you could tell how tense it is because, once again, a child is in danger and he has to time his shot right, otherwise it's going to be really, really bad. So stuff like that is really just, it sets up the scene perfectly when they do stuff like this. A lot of action, bullet squibs, people getting damaged, explosions, maybe grenades. So the more they add on to the scene where it makes sense and you can see everything going on, the more it sort of makes everything cool. I think Bad Boys also has like a lot of cool shootouts. The one I remember the most is the motorcycle chase and the shootout in the third movie, and then the one where they're in this Jamaican crack den and Will Smith just sort of shoots this dude in the head. It's like I'll really mess up your extensions, you know what I mean? It's a little bit of comedy, but it is a tense moment, so I really appreciate stuff like that.
I was just gonna bring up that exact scene when I was for like shootouts, and also I was gonna say when in a shootout the goal is to get rid of characters and kill them off. If you're gonna do that in a shootout, make sure each one's a little bit memorable. Every one of those guys had some kind of memorable way that they went down. That entire scene is a great way to do a shootout, in my opinion. Same movie does probably one of my favorite chase scenes. And it's the scene where they're chasing the group down, and they've got the truck full of cars and shit, and they start actually tossing cars off the truck at them. It's extremely memorable and it's unique. I haven't seen that in another movie. So if you're gonna do a chase scene, get something unique in there. Get something that makes it stand out from every other chase and every other action movie.
Yeah, I was gonna add one last thing to mine, real quick. Not only the cutting of it, but also the pacing. You don't want to have it too short, but you also don't want to have it too long.
I think the best shootout I've seen was in Boondock Saints.
I've never seen that movie, but I will check it out.
It's got Willem Dafoe in it and Norman Reedus.
Yeah,
That's one of the main characters.
That's what I was about to say. Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah.
And Billy Connolly.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, also, the second movie had a really fantastic final shootout as well, in the little greenhouse, Gordon. I want to watch those movies now.
But anyone else on what is it, the shootouts and the good old chase scenes? Drill?
I mean, there's the, I guess there's the police station shootout and the Terminator, but that's just more of a slasher since the Terminator's just like going through everyone.
That is cool though. They convey what needed to be set up, which is there is this unstoppable force and they're trying to do everything to kill it, but they will not kill it because once again, unstoppable. So I just like how that was conveyed too, where
like
you
even
know
in a police station you're not even safe. Even in a police station full of cops you're not safe.
Nope.
I love how that series goes from being a horror movie to being an action movie in the sequel, just because you like even the odds a bit by having two Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the third one went to being more campy.
Yeah.
Those movies got really silly.
I mean, I still like it, but I don't like that it kind of negated the ending of 2.
Since we're talking about shootouts in a police station, can we talk about the last scene in *Malignant*?
Oh my god, that was insane. That was insane, and I wasn't expecting any of that. I almost don't want to spoil and say what happens, but there's a shootout at the end, and there's a bunch of cops, and there's a big slaughter. But the way it occurs will blow your fucking mind. Go see *Malignant* now. James Wan is just give him more content, please.
You know what? Since you brought that up, you know what? I'll bring up a better example.
Go ahead.
Halloween Kills.
Oh. We're on these horror movie sequences where these civilians, as evil dies night, they get beat up.
There was the beginning, and then that. Wink, wink.
I like that movie.
I haven't seen it yet, so
I like that movie, but you will. It gets a little ridiculous, like near the end. I guess we're gonna move on to the next one because after this we have like 2 more questions. Then we're gonna get up out of here. So who is your favorite mainstream actor or actress who has been in a lot of horror cinema? And I'm just gonna give the most basic answer of all time.
Horror cinema or action cinema?
Action cinema.
Action,
We're back on action now. So my answer is super basic. Everyone knows it. Mr. Schwarzenegger is my favorite action actor. It's probably a lot more for Hollywood's sake, but I would say him and Bruce Willis are definitely top tier.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Shane what happened to Bruce Willis, but
His legacy will still be there no matter what. He still carved the path with the best Die Hard movies out there on the planet.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
if they reboot it like we said earlier, then it's just gonna be so hard to replace him.
It's a huge damn shame, honestly.
Yeah, it will. Oh man, I mean, it's such a good question though. I mean, like I like Arnold, you know, I like Sylvester Stallone, but and you know Bruce Willis, but I guess the one person that sticks out in my mind, because I've mentioned him a few times, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, that counts.
Clint Eastwood's great. Yeah.
I loved him in Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry was one of his best movies, as well as Hang 'em High, because that one scene in Hang 'em High where, you know, he's trying to get the people that wronged him, his old gang, basically, you know, throw them in jail, but he doesn't want to like attack first. He doesn't want to start anything. He's just like, come on, time to go to jail. I'm here to round up everybody. And when he sees the first person, when he finds him, and he shows the scar, because the Hang 'em High is a movie about this guy played by Clint Eastwood who gets hung and left for dead by his former gang, because he was set up. He still has a scar from where the noose was around his neck, and he was left hanging for about 30 minutes. He shows him the scar, and he's like, next time you leave a man hanging, you better make sure that he's dead. And that's when the guy pulls out his gun, and Clint just like shoots him dead. And I'm thinking, I'm like, that's so badass. He's the OG.
Now, I'm gonna say him before anyone else does. The action star that comes to my mind is Keanu,
Oh,
the goat.
Oh yes, the greatest. I'll go really fast, but like I said, classics: Arnie, Stallone. Was Arnie, Stallone, Keanu. Definitely love Jason Statham. Statham's awesome. I really love the Transporter movies. And trying to draw another one that's really good. I guess Michael J. White. I guess he could count.
Michael Jai White.
Michael J. White. Yeah. Yeah, but that's pretty much it for me. Like, I know there's one, but he's on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, Tom Cruise. I really like Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, I thought for a second, I was like, hold on, for these answers, somebody is missing for doing their own crazy stunts, and Tom Cruise would be one of them. Like, no matter what you think of the guy, the fact that he does all these stunts fucking on his own, and they're the most death-defying things that you will see in entertainment history, has to be acknowledged, because people were saying the entire sequence of him jumping out of the plane and Fallout was real. That was a full-on Halo jump.
Yeah, honestly,
Definitely.
I think the fact that he's willing to do all of these insane stunts is what makes them look great. But at the same time, they are extremely dangerous.
Yep, you gotta have like brass balls or something to do all that shit because nah, if you couldn't pay me to like do a halo jump, no way. I fucking hate heights.
Actually, you know, I know Jackie Chan did some really crazy ass stunts, like when he slid on the bridge in that one movie. Like, man.
Actually, Andre, let's save that portion for craziest stunts because that is a question.
Okay, gotcha.
But any other actors or actresses that people want to bring up for favorite action movie stars?
I've been racking my brain since you brought it up, and I think I just got to go with Statham, just because, like Jason Statham, because I know him from so many things, but at the same time I know him as like a martial arts action star, a like the drive like driving and chase scenes action star, gunplay action star. Like I know him from like a bunch of different kinds of action. But on top of that, I know him from a lot of things where he's just funny as hell too. Which I think if you're going to be in an action movie, if you need to have a little levity in there somewhere, and if he can do that, I think he may. Just because of his versatility, I got to pick him if he's gonna if I have to narrow it down to one.
Fair.
Yeah,
Cool.
I agree.
But that was a bitch to come up with one.
Jessica Henwick's pretty awesome. Yeah. I
Yeah,
like
she's cool. I liked her as Colleen Wing, and she was Bugs in Matrix. All right, so we sort of alluded to this question, but we're gonna get right into it. What is the craziest stunt you've seen in any type of action or martial arts film? So it could be either or.
Oh, probably for me, probably when they actually had the helicopter under the highway in Terminator. That was a real one.
Yep, that was actually legitimate. So a helicopter with spinning blades went under a fucking bridge just for one stunt in this movie. That is crazy, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, like it wouldn't have looked as good without James Cameron directing.
Anyone else?
No, well, you're cool, Andre.
Yeah, really basic answer, but probably the Terminator 2, the infamous the motorcycle chase. Like I always loved. I think like I remember if I correctly, like in the behind the scenes, they had to actually like keep up the speed of the motorcycle. John Connor. Like that was pretty crazy, especially back then when like technology was pretty limited with movies, and the fact they were able to pull off is really astounding. Yeah, yeah, that's mine. Anyone else can take this one.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna say one that I know for sure was like super fucking crazy. But Tom Cruise crawling on the rocks and Mission Impossible, just anything that he does in those movies are fucking insane. I also think that the one where he almost got a knife to the eye, and he was like, I think John Woo was telling him in Mission Impossible 2, hey man, you don't have to do this stunt. We can sort of just CGI it, or we can sort of manipulate it to where you're not gonna get this like knife like 1 inch from your eye. And he said, you know what? No, I want the guy I'm fighting, Doug Ray Scott, to actually put his full force into this blade near your eye, 1 inch deep.
Jesus.
That was fucking, that has to be, because one small mistake and that would have been it for his retina. That, I just don't know how this man does it.
Yeah, insane.
But anyone else have any insane stunts they want to bring up?
Well, in regards to Mission Impossible, did you know that I think it's the one before the last one? He was literally hanging off of a plane.
Yeah, I forget which one that was. I think it was Rogue Nation.
Yeah, Rogue Nation. Like that was how that movie started off, with just him hanging off a plane. No CGI, just Tom Cruise is a wild fucking dude. Jesus Christ.
Trying to think of another one that was super death defying or actually injure someone. I know it's light, but I do remember the stunt that Jackie Chan did where he jumped and it was like a mall or something, and he jumped through like all these piles of glass on the way down. And I don't know how injured he got from that. I'm pretty sure he got super cut up, but that was crazy. Like at the end of every Jackie Chan movie, they show the vignette of him being carried away once he's injured. Like I started to notice that when I watched some of his old movies, and I noticed that every time he was fucked up and he got his head bumped or something, they would take him away at the end credits as like a badge of honor. So any other stunts?
Only one I can think of. It's not death defying, and it's not, the stunt itself isn't like that unusual, but it was the way they went about doing it, and it was from The Protector, and it was just that Tony Jaa did a wire fighting jump without wires, only because at the time when they were doing a lot of wire fighting stuff, I guess he just saw that and was like, yeah, but what if I just didn't need the wires? So he does like, I want to say about like somewhere between like a 6 to 10 foot vertical jump, already incorporating some parkour into it with no wires, and he just lands it because nobody ever told him he couldn't. So he just learned to do that. And I thought that was really cool that he just didn't use wires for it.
That is absolutely insane.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's crazy. But mad props to him. Yeah.
I also think a tanker truck almost crushed Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 3, and he literally said, "Let me do it." And that was his answer. That's just this is it, man. Like, just put Tom Cruise all over this list because you're gonna hear him come up a lot.
I guess I would say some scenes in Mad Max Fury Road. The guys that were on the poles, cause that was insane, to be honest. The guys on the poles, I believe they were trying to get on top of the moving truck, and that was just insane. That movie itself is just insane. Dare I say, mad.
I'm trying to look at the list to see if I can get something to jog my memory. I do remember the one where Jackie Chan sort of slid down a building, and Who Am I? That was a cool movie too. Like it seemed like each and every time they were fighting, he was going to fall off a 100-story building. So that it's a little dicey to watch the second time through when you really think about it. And Cryo's pick is also on this list about the polls. But I think for now that's it for this question. So you guys want to move to the last one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do this. Yeah.
So this one's pretty simple. Describe your viewpoint on the differing eras of Hollywood action movies. Which one was the best from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, probably the 80s by far, because we had peak actors like Stallone, Van Damme, Schwarzenegger. Yeah, you had movies like The Predator, Aliens, also Climber. Oh no way! There was that one movie with
Are you talking about Cliffhanger?
yeah, it was with Stallone and he was climbing. What was it called? Cliffhanger. Yeah,
Cliffhanger. Yeah.
that's 90. Sorry, I meant to say Cobra.
Oh, I remember Cobra. You're the virus and I'm the cure. The one, okay, yeah, I would honestly say just the 80s, because the one-liners, the tone, the cheesiness, fucking, you had such cool moments with these actors that were clearly in their prime. 90s wasn't bad either. At the tail end, obviously you had Matrix, and at the beginning you had Terminator 2, which is one of the best action movies of all time. So it really is a lot of quality then, and even in the early 2000s the action starts to amplify from there. So it's a lot to pick from, really, but I would say maybe 80s or 90s.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, this is a good one. This is a good question. Honestly, for me, I would say the 70s, because this was around the time where this was like unheard of. These kind of movies, like the topics, the things that happen, in them. Like Dirty Harry, for example, there wasn't anything. There was never a movie or a show really that had a cop go beyond the law and take the law into his own hands like that, um when like the main guy, like the criminal, gets away off of either a technicality or a mere loophole. I mean, another example, like the original Death Wish, that movie was and still is uh pretty controversial.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, Charles Bronson and Clint Eastwood, they were really right up there. Charles Bronson, more so in the 70s. So I would have to say, given the historical context and everything like that, I would say like the number one that sticks out of my head, and it's tied with 80s. It has to be 70s action.
Yeah, fair enough. Although it is funny that they just kept milking Death Wish all the way into the 90s.
Anyone else?
Yeah, sure, I'll go ahead. For me, yeah, definitely. Peak is, like you said, 80s, 90s, around that era. Mostly, in my opinion, just because everything was practical. It's the special effects were there, but I'm not a huge fan of over reliance on CG. And yeah, as soon as you start hitting like 2000s, 2010s, especially now we're in the 2020s, where's the movie? It's just a PS3 game cutscene at this point. A lot of it's just digital effects, and that's fine, I guess, but that's not my cup of tea. So I prefer back in like 80s, 90s, things like Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Commando, that kind of stuff. Classics.
Who else?
Honestly,
Oh, go ahead.
honestly, I'd say like the 80s and the 90s definitely has some really good flicks. Like everybody named most of them. And I also want to give the 2000s credit for making like more adrenaline, like more faster paced adrenaline pumping action movies at that time.
Yep, that's fair enough. I mean, you had your Bournes and your spy flicks that were getting a lot of traction with the Mission Impossible sequels. I'm pretty sure there's like even more crazy early 2000s movies that I'm like forgetting in terms of action, but yeah, it's the same thing as before. Like, it's not a bad era no matter what you pick. It's just a thing of there was definitely a lot more flashy substance with the early 90s or the 80s or stuff like that. You had a lot more memorable actors, and it just felt like it had a little bit more heart put into it when they were doing like crazy ridiculous shit. I mean, it's one thing to appreciate for sure when they were doing like, because I think it's Cujo that said this, with more practical effects and just a lot more heart put into the equation. But any other answer for this before we move on?
I think that kind of summed it up.
Okay, then. So
oh yeah, I was gonna do my answer.
Go-
Pretty much, I'd say 80s and 90s are like peak action movies, at least for me. Early 2000s was awesome too. 20s, I think as of late, it's kind of hit and miss. You get some really good movies and you get some really bad movies, but yeah, that's all I have to really say on the matter.
Yeah, I guess currently they've kind of gotten formulaic. Like, there's only so many Fast and Furious movies you can handle before it starts to feel the same.
Ugh. Well, apparently the director for Fast X or whatever the fuck, he got out the project apparently, so they have to find someone else. Oh yeah, there's also some underrated gems as well, like Shoot 'em Up. I actually enjoy Shoot 'em Up.
I
quite
heard
a
of
bit.
it, but I've never seen it.
It's fun. Believe me when I say do not take it seriously, because there is a scene where a guy is headshotting people while falling from the air after he jumped out of a plane, but it is still a great film.
What
Also,
about Hardcore Henry?
this movie I have not seen, but Cujo sort of knows a little bit about it. It's like first person guy going around shooting and blowing shit
Yeah.
up.
I will say, like, when I was saying the other movies were, like, in my opinion, better for practical effects, Hardcore Henry is like the exception to that rule, because the entire movie is filmed like a single long take. It's meant to look uncut from the entire beginning of the movie to the end, and that's such an interesting concept you can't do back in like the 80s, 90s, because you have to edit it, you have to cut it. There's like no way to make it work at that time. But yeah, the entire movie is done through the perspective of the main character, and you don't get like time skips, you don't get time jumps. You just experience the entire thing first person for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I tell a lie. There might be like 1 or 2 time jumps if there's ever like a knockout unconscious chunk of time. I don't super remember because it's been a couple of years. But other than that, it's awesome.
Also, before we go to outros, I did want to mention Wanted and Kill Bill. I just unconditionally love those movies. I'm not gonna lie. Two great
Wanted?
action. Yeah, I love Wanted.
No, I know the movie. I just wanted to make sure that I'm like, I just want to make sure that we're talking about Curve the Bullet Wanted.
Yes, Curve the Bullet Wanted.
One's fun. That's a really fun movie.
I've never seen it, but I know about the curving the bullet stuff.
It's I don't remember the story much, but I thought the action was really cool with all the bullets, and I know they had a game of it, a game adaptation, but the game was pretty fun.
Yeah, the story is pretty basic, but I mean, the curve the bullet thing was to me awesome, and I mean, it was a gimmick that, of course, was exclusive to that movie. So I was like, I pretty much enjoyed it for what it was. Like, I feel like most action movies, you need some type of gimmick or hook, otherwise, no matter how stupid it is, you don't want it to be boring, which is the worst thing you could do.
Honestly, I remember the one scene where he comes to work and I guess he's just fed up with his coworker, so he just knocks him out.
Yeah, he knocked out Chris Pratt.
Damn.
Like, because I think he was like annoying the shit out of him, and then he just snaps.
He just smacks him with the keyboard, and the keys are like "fuck you." I remember that.
I remember that because it was a guy that was pretending that things are okay, even though he was being fake about it, because that guy was fucking his so-called best friend's girl. And so he was, yeah. So of course,
Oof.
because the guy, he knew Chris Pratt's character had, was messing around with his girl. And after he yelled at his boss, he got up, walked out, pretty much quit. And on the way out, Chris Pratt's character was like, "Hey, buddy, yeah, high five! You finally told that bitch who's boss." And that's when he took the keyboard and smashed his face with it, and the keys flied off with the tooth as a U.
Oh yeah.
And he said, and he was like, "Never felt better."
I can't wait for Professor Xavier to do this as Star Lord.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh man, the icing on the fuck you is just brilliant. This is
But I guess we can sort of sign off because we've been going for a bit too long.
Yeah.
that was awesome though. I had a lot of fun though.
Yeah, it was good.
Almost
Yeah,
3
I
hours.
did.
Great time.
But it was a good time. So we're gonna do outros real quick. So Andre, where can we find you, and what is your social medias?
You can find me at Twitter at Andre B Venom. I also do have an Instagram account, but I don't really use it a whole lot. But I'm trying to fix that. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me. Andre B Venom on Twitter.
Cryo, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube and Twitter under the same handle, Cryo Gaming with a 0.
Drillbit?
Yeah, you can just find me on Twitter at Drillbit777. That's really where I'm active on. So yeah.
Nero, where can we find you?
All right, you can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter under the name King Nero Barrage.
Eli?
You can find me on Twitter at Gamma Alias.
Cujo?
You can find me at the bottom of a bottle in a poignant field.
Hmm?
You can find me at YouTube at Overlord Arcade, and oh my god, I have a Twitter now. Same shit. You can find me at Overlord Arcade.
And you can find me at Twitter at RenOperative_. You can find me on Pornhub at Renegade Operative. You can find me on...
Okay.
Sell out, X Hamster or nothing.
You can also find them on TikTok, OnlyFans, etc.
Yeah.
Mr. Renegade on that TikTok life. I see.
But-
You can lie all you want. I know we're friends on Grindr.
Oh my god.
Bruh.
But yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Renegade Operative, Twitch, Renegade_Operative, where I will be I'm probably doing some things in the future. I gotta upload this podcast to the channel, stuff like that for the Infinite Ammo. So we will see you guys next time, and hopefully you enjoy this Kung Fu Wata and action movie discussion. Hopefully you take care.
Yep.
Yep.
See ya.
See you.
Yep.